Hello, I'd like a new bench for my garden and I'd quite like it to be multifunctional just so it could be a good use of space. So I'd like it to have some storage in it. What I've ordered is some deck boards because they're incredibly cheap, always on offer in the summer. And I got them a few weeks ago so they can dry out a bit. These are 3.6 metres long, so I'm going to cut them down into 3 pieces each board. These are all cut to roughly the same length. We're going to do a final trim down, but now I want to glue them up 3 boards at a time into panels. So I'm making 5 panels. So these will take a few days to get done because of the amount of clamps I have. One of the nice things about the day getting longer is I managed to come out here last night and do a second glue up, so I got them all done in one day. Now, these are a bit wider than I need them to be for a couple of the panels, and that's the base and the end. So I'm just going to rip a bit off 2 of these on the table saw. One of these panels I've cut down is going to be the bottom, so the ends need trimming square. So I'm just going to do that, taking off the minimum amount of material I can, and that will be its final length. Then I need 2 panels exactly the same length as that. Right, I've got 3 bits the same length, but one's thinner because this is the bit that I ripped down, and that's going to be the base. Then I can get one of these pieces up against it, and that's going to be the side. So I'm going to get that screwed in at the bottom and then do the same on the other side. Right, that's the sides on, so now we need end pieces, which we've already ripped down a piece to go in there. Now, I don't want them to sit flush with the sides, I want them to stick up the thickness of one of these boards. So I'm going to get those cut on the track saw and installed. I now have 1 panel left that I glued up, and that is the lid. So it needs cutting down, so it's just going to fit in between the 2 end pieces. So this box is made out of those panels I glued up, and they shouldn't warp because they're all screwed to each other that will keep them flat. The lid though will be separate, so I've got a couple of little strips of wood that I'm just going to get screwed to the underside to help keep everything flat. So there we have a trunk done. Could paint it, put some hinges on and leave it there, but I want to do more. I want to put this thing up on legs and have a back to it. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to cut this into 4 bits to make 4 legs. 2 bits longer that are going to be the back, and I'm going to have them angled. So I'm going to mark out a 10-degree angle and cut some bits on the miter saw. So I've cut 2 long pieces to be the back and 2 shorter pieces with the front legs. Now what I've done is stuck a couple of 2x4s on the floor, and this is going to go on it because these are going to act as the spacer I want for the legs. Well, what I mean is I want it to be that far off the ground. Let's get a leg and I'll show you. Okay, I've got my leg with a 10-degree angle that I can get put on the floor so it's leaning backwards. I get it so the top of it just meets the back edge, and now it's off the ground, the whole thing, the thickness of a 2x4. So let's get that clamped into place, and now we can get some screws in to lock that there. That's the back legs on, so the front legs with no angles just go flush with the front of the unit, and then some screws in from the inside to lock it into place. Right, we've got the 4 legs, but now I would like a hand rest on here, and I've got some more for 2x4. So I need to mark out and cut out the bits that goes around the back piece. But these arms are too long at the moment, and I don't want to just cut them off square. I don't think that'll look good. I think I'm going to put a curve on. So I'm just going to draw around this camera base and get this cut out on the bandsaw. Oh yeah, that's nicer with the curve. So now I'm just going to get a few screws in to lock this into place. Let's give it a go. Oh yeah, armrest nice, but I think we're going to need some kind of back on this. I've got some slats, they're going to go in here for the back. Right, these slats then I can get screwed into place, starting with the top one lined up flush with the top. Then I'm going to use other slats as spacers and work my way down. I just put all these slats on long, so now I can trim them all flush. Oh, that's much better. It's quite comfy now. So this is all going to get painted, and some of the screw holes are at the back and won't be seen, but there's a few visible ones, like where I've attached these arms. So I'm just going to go around and fill all these holes. Then I can give it a sand down. I'm getting this outside to paint, but unfortunately it's a typical British sunny day, as in it's grey and miserable. What I have is quite a nice light blue called Forget-Me-Not. just going to build up a few coats of this and then we can get the lid attached. The paint's all dry on this now, but I don't like the legs touching the floor. It's not good to have things sat in water. So what I have is some little plastic feet, and I'm going to get them screwed onto each of the bottom of the legs. I'll put a link to these little feet down below. I've used them a few times. They're just slightly bigger than the normal ones you get, so they're good on garden projects. The lid now needs attaching, and what I have to do it is a brass piano hinge, because I had one already, and brass is good outside because it won't rust. This can now just get screwed onto the back between the lid and the cabinet. Moment of truth time. Oh yeah, and it stays up because the back leans. It means the lid will stay up and close. Fantastic. I'm not going to keep anything precious in here, but still, it's good to keep it secure. So I've got a nice looking hasp and staple, and I'm going to get that screwed on the front so it can be locked. I was thinking that's it all done now, but I was telling my mother about the project and she said to me, what about water getting in and drainage? And I hadn't really considered it, but this thing is definitely not watertight. I'm not putting anything in here I want to keep dry, so I think it will need some draining holes in the bottom. So, moral of that story, always listen to your mother. Okay, I am calling that done. So there we have it. A bench with some storage right outside the door of the workshop. I'm pleased with that, and a nice sunny day now to enjoy it.